I am Palak Malhotra and I'm here to present accountability and responsibility in artificial intelligence decision making models in the Indian policy landscape. This is part of my master thesis and joint work with Amita Misra. Artificial intelligence is the drive behind the fourth industrial revolution that has swept away the world. AI, especially autonomous machine learning decision models, have been propagated as a solution to every major challenge faced by entrepreneurs and governments. Today, they have a definitive say in life altering circumstances. Identification security systems, public distribution systems, job opportunities all are dependent upon algorithmic decisions, whether there is human judgment involved in it or not. So, how does one bestow the principles of accountability and responsibility on a non living amoral entity? In this endeavor, it is important to visualize these AI learning algorithms in a socio techno environment rather than as isolated systems. Conceptualizing responsibility and accountability. When one talks about responsibility in AI, especially machine learning algorithms, responsibility refers to the role of individuals in their relation to the AI systems. Responsibility does not pertain to the fact that computer software of any kind should be responsible, rather, the organization and the employees within the organization that compose the socio-technical environment of AI algorithms should be responsible. On the other hand, accountability flows from responsibility. In terms of ethics and governance, it is equated with answer liability, blameworthiness, liability, and responsibility to justify actions to a forum that holds the said party accountable. With respect to the Indian policy landscape, Niti Aayog's national strategy on AI recognizes these principles. Furthermore, India is a recent signatory to UNESCO's first global agreement on ethics of AI. However, these principles are not binding, and the Niti Aayog strategy is still a white paper. So, when national strategies are in nascent stage, organizations have managed to shirk away from responsibility and accountability through numerous ways. The first one I will be talking about is the many hands problem. The many hands problem was first conceptualized by Nissenbaum, where it was basically argued that there exists a machine learning pipeline and there are many individuals or teams involved in design, development, and implementation of a machine learning algorithm. If bias develops early stages, it only has the potential to go unnoticed and further magnified. Therefore, if the decision making algorithm produce biased decision, it becomes extremely difficult to isolate one individual or group which is to be held accountable. Second is blaming the algorithm. As as we have already talked mentioned, machine learning algorithm works in a black box, which means that the system hides its internal logic from the user. However, corporations have often shrugged off responsibility and accountability under the pretext of we could have not predicted this. However, the issue is here that you are prescribing intent and attributing a sort of a moral agency to the algorithm. Then next is ownership without liability. Third party providers of data driven algorithmic systems refuse to expose their systems to scrutiny by independent auditors. Furthermore, manufacturers and owners of hardware materials shift liability to environment factors and human users. The, the last one is secrecy and proprietary. This is a critical concern regarding the principle of transparency. Even if the algorithm is available to everyone, it might not be comprehensible. However, it has been observed that even if the algorithm's features and operations might be made understandable, they are still kept secretive. So, how does one bestow the appropriate principles of accountability and responsibility to an organization? Therefore, we have framed a basic policy framework for responsible and accountable AI in India. The first is the multidisciplinary training of the employees, where employees from STEM related fields are trained where and educated regarding the nuances of power imbalances in society and how technology can produce a new form of systemic operation and marginalize vulnerable groups. Second is algorithmic literacy and transparency. As already talked about, the AI algorithms work in a black box construct, and there are a lot of complexities related to this principle. However, one should move ahead and focus on making the algorithms more explainable to the end user, especially if it involves high risk social cause. The next is that informed consent should be provided to end users where it is explicitly stated that the service, what sort of services are being availed if the individual is going through a AI decision making system. The next is deliberation and consensus for an ethical AI models. In the design and development of a high risk social cost AI, affected stakeholders should be involved and consulted. Organization responsibility and accountability should be ensured through proportionate liability, and also the human in the loop principle should always be involved. The next is independent and third party auditing is required. This should be followed by an algorithm being certified. The next one is the protection of the whistleblower. This is followed by the sector specific regulations, where besides having a comprehensive national policy on the development and application of AI, governments should engage and encourage various industries to formulate their own standards and guidelines regarding the deployment and operationalization of AI. The last is grievance redressal and arbitration mechanisms, and perhaps one of the most important recommendation. Since preventive policies can only go so far due to the black box construct, however, if an unfair bias occurs, it has the ability to infringe upon the rights of an individual and their safety and security. Therefore, grievance redressal mechanisms should be set up in every tech organization. And also, the aggrieved individual must have a right to petition in an arbitrational court. To conclude, the progress in AI domains will soon be synonymous with the kind of growth trajectory a country is on. However, one must be cautious and remember that AI, especially automated decision making models, are still a work in progress. It can have the potential to infringe upon some of the most basic and universal fundamental rights of an individual. At such a critical juncture, organizations cannot be allowed to excuse themselves from accountability and responsibility, and it is the duty of the government to ensure the same through appropriate policy frameworks. Thank you.